Hey, what's up, guys? It's Alex from Can I Kick It? Definitely kicking it today. Uh, so I had a bout of food poisoning. I think it was food poisoning. I've heard a few different reports from people around town saying that they've been experiencing some flu-like symptoms. My friend Alyssa told me that a bunch of kids got sent home from school with some sort of 24-hour stomach virus, but maybe that's what it was. But here's the thing, nobody else around me got it. My dad didn't get it, my friend Kyler didn't get it, and I've been in close proximity with him, even shared some cigarettes with him. So I don't know, man, but it was horrible. I came home from work, and the night before I drove to Bloomington to visit a girl that I was seeing at the time, and so I had to get up real early to make it to work at 5 a.m. And so when I drove back, I was tired, and I went to Kyler's house at lunch and ate some taco salad he had in the fridge, and went back to work. This is about 11:30, and then 3:30 I get off work, come home, take a nap. Well, I wake up at like 4:35, just puked up everything I had eaten. All that salad came up, and lettuce is nasty when it comes up. So yeah, I mean, this was bad. Like all the way down into my intestines was sore, and then I just continued to dry heave all through the night. Couldn't keep water down. Pretty gnarly. I don't know. I forgot what it was like, because I've been in such a groove lately. I've been in such a tight groove getting this podcast going. We're in the works of maybe getting a concert going here in Vincennes at the Rendezvous Grounds with me and some friends. We haven't put out any info yet on it, but hopefully that works out. It's going to be for a good cause. I was just dry heaving all into the night, and still, this was 2 days ago. I'm still feeling a little, something's still not right. The only thing I could put down was half a sandwich yesterday and some soup. So I just wanted to kind of put this out, keep the momentum going for the podcast, and let you know I'm still kicking it. Things have been going pretty well other than that. Like, my money's going to be hurting a little bit from missing work, but sometimes you just got to take care of yourself first. So before you can do all that, I'm going to go pick up my son here in a little bit. I've got him for the weekend. I really liked the direction of the last podcast where I had my daughter and a friend on. I had two people scheduled this week for let's see, it was like Tuesday and Wednesday or something. Ended up having to cancel those. There's no way I could have done a podcast then, but had Sean Wallace coming on, and my buddy Merkaba that I met up in Fort Wayne, who's a rapper. So hopefully I can get them rescheduled. Haven't heard back from them quite yet. Tomorrow I have a couple interviews scheduled. Tomorrow night I should be posting an interview with Peter Haskins and Joe Williams. So I'm going to try to get back at it and get those going. Joe Williams is director of drug court. He's a counselor there through drug court. He's my counselor. So hopefully we can, talk about how the government is taking more broad strokes at dealing with drug addiction among the community instead of just throwing people back into jail. And, creating this cycle of dysfunction by just locking away their problems, and then these people get out and then they're still messed up. So the drug court's kind of taking a more heartful approach, in my opinion, on how they deal with offenders, is what they call them, but people is what they really are. Pete Haskins had started the LAM program here in Vincennes some years back. I want to say 10 years ago. Did a lot of great work before he moved up to Wisconsin. I think he went to Wisconsin. So we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I just kind of want to keep you guys updated. You probably haven't heard from me for a few days. So I just had I want to get a little bit personal here without getting too personal. I've been trying to date since I've gotten clean, and been clean for over a year now. Been doing my best to take my time, have a little patience before I hop back in the dating scene. I haven't had much luck. Met somebody right away, felt a connection. It was amazing. We had a lot in common. She was a little bit older than me, which is fine. Also a Pisces, if you believe in that sort of thing. Things were really great, and then for whatever reason the communication broke down. And I won't go too far into it because, like I said, it's pretty kind of personal. But I mean, what is this podcast if not a big door into my soul? More or less. I think a lot of times I think about this podcast as an interview format to kind of dive into other people and hopefully a little bit into me. Had a lot of ideas thrown my way about the podcast, about directions I could take it. I had my friend Laura call me, and she wants to talk about philosophy and different social issues, and it'd be nice to have a female perspective on things. So let me know what you guys think about that, about directions I could take this thing, because I mean, it's almost, you ever have too many options and you're almost overwhelmed with how many options there are, like when you're in a store and you just got paid and you're thinking about what you want to eat and you're hungry. That's the worst time to go shopping because you end up buying a bunch of stuff that doesn't really make sense. I'm trying to take a more organized approach to my life here lately. Oh, it's still not going away. Okay. So, yeah, the relationship thing didn't work out, which left me disheartened. I mean, it was real quick. I knew I probably shouldn't have posted on Facebook. Isn't it ridiculous how, something's not official these days unless you put it on Facebook or, some social media platform, whether or not you're in a relationship. I never thought I'd be that small, but, a lot of times it creates this sort of stalemate where you kind of have to say, if you're on a social media platform, whether or not you're in a relationship. If you don't, then the other there's this unanswered, sort of unanswered question that, like, are we together? And isn't that a weird spot when you're in a relationship and you think, like, what are we? And as soon as you put a label on something, it becomes this whole other entity. It becomes, you have this person and this person, and then you put them together and you label relationship. And then the quality of the relationship is changed, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst. And I don't know, it creates a whole other entity, like Brangelina or, that silly stuff. But it seems like the label itself kind of creates expectations, whether or not you believe in certain expectations. It's a bit ridiculous. I wish there were a way around it, but it doesn't seem that there is, in a world where most people abide by monogamy. Which brings me to another good point. Like, I'm going to have some polyamorous folks come on the podcast. It's something I've played around with in the past that didn't seem quite to work out, but had a good friend that hopefully is going to come on that practice exclusively polyamory, and that's basically, in my opinion, that's where you can be in love with more than one person at once, and you have different different relationships in different areas. And I don't know, depending on how you want to do the polyamory, you will have one person who's your main person, and then several people that you date sort of on the side. So that's something I'm extremely curious about, because there is a big part of our animal nature that says you want to sleep with other people than just the person you're with. And there have been times where I've been in love and still had feelings for other people that I just met. I know a lot of people say something, and it makes sense, that if you love somebody enough, you forego all those other inclinations towards people who strike up your fancy, It's interesting though. It's really interesting to look into, and I'm still not quite sure where I stand on that. Hopefully someday I can find somebody that will be enough for me to not be always having that wandering eye, as they say. But I don't know. I mean, I think life is almost a daily struggle to recenter your morals, your morals in regards to society, or even just your personal integrity, your moral integrity for yourself. It seems like it's constantly changing. There's this idea in ethics called cultural relativism and just moral relativism. And basically it says that each culture has its own set of universal morals, and that they change based from culture to culture or person to person. And then so the opposing idea to this idea, the other side of the coin, as it were, is universal morality. That there is a universal morality, not even based on religious principles, just what's best for humans as a whole. And there's a constant struggle in my mind between these two. What is it to be in? I honestly, I think at the end of the day, the big goal is to just be the best you can and constantly be searching. You'll never attain the goal of ultimate morality. Like, this is the Jesus Christ idea, the ultimate perfect morality, perfect character, perfect integrity, sacrifice. People spend their whole lives looking for that, and I think it's not so much the attainment of these goals and ideals, it's the pursuit of these goals and ideals that ultimately makes a good person. And we'll get more into that with some other people that I talk to, hopefully. So I don't know, I've got, hopefully Saturday I can talk with Pete Haskins about that. We'll get you updated on some morality. Like, he has a lot more theological background than I do, but I'm interested to dive in on this. Hey, sorry about that little edit. I didn't know if my microphone was on or off. Yeah, I'm gonna dive into these technological parts of the podcast a little more as time goes on. I'm just gonna let it evolve naturally, because I'm spending a lot of time explaining myself, like I'm doing right now, about why things are crappy on the podcast. And really, it's the substance that matters with the podcast, not anything else, So, so this is sort of like a one-off little update to the podcast. Let you know I'm still working on it. Was just a little sick. So I really haven't heard from anyone about, having any questions. We made the email, and I haven't received one email about that. People had a lot of questions at first. People had ideas about wanting to come on the podcast, and I haven't heard not one thing. So I'm going to keep pumping it out. I'm looking for interesting people to interview. I've got a Wiccan lined up. We've got a treasure hunter, hopefully. Someone that dove for buried treasure, scuba dived. So that'll be interesting. I'm going to try to just keep it as, keep it to be a variety show of sorts. But I'm doing all right. Pretty happy with everything as a whole. I can't wait to see my son tonight. I got a birthday party for my nephew tomorrow. I had a couple instances of drama in my life lately, but nothing that I want to put out here. But I dealt with them. I'm definitely growing as a person, and I'm pretty proud of myself for the way that I've handled these things. I don't know, life's good, so I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update, let you know where I'm at, and let you know we have more content coming up. Please send in those ideas, any ideas that you have that could be extremely helpful, or if you have something interesting that you want to talk about, you want to come on the podcast about. So I'd be glad to sit down with anyone and interview anyone, but that's not exactly quality material if I'm just sitting there hanging out with my friends. Anyone could do that. I want to interview people about specific ideas that they have lined up. as captivating as it might be to see me and my buddies sit around and tell fart jokes, I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to make this as quality as possible, as meager as that sounds. But yeah, anyway, thanks for kicking it for a minute. Hope everyone's doing well during these times of pandemic and political upheaval. It's not looking real good for the community right now, as far as the new presidency. I mean, I don't even know if I want to get into all that, but it's the gas prices went up, and I don't see any reason for the gas prices to have gone up after they stayed at a steady, generally same price range for so long. Now they're just bumping up out of nowhere, but we don't even know why. Why are they going up so much? What about right now? Is it the change in season? How much could the oil supply have been used during these COVID months? It should be steady for a while. And something else I'd like to talk about, I think, is when is this COVID stuff going to let up? I haven't heard anything really on the news about when things might start letting up and get back to normal. I mean, there's new procedures in place for everything, but with the vaccines coming out now, what do you guys think about what should happen now that the vaccine's been let loose and should we start getting back to normal soon? I don't know. All right. Anyway, I've got a few things I need to do, so I'm going to get off of here. But send in those questions, send in those ideas. Let me know if you have something interesting you want to talk about. And peace. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for kicking it. Love y'all.